It's the nightmare every business owner has. That one catastrophic event that could wipe out everything you've poured your life into. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and decode what really happens after the disaster strikes. We're talking about business insurance claims.
Just picture it for a second. One minute, your business is humming along. You've got a shop, a warehouse, whatever it is, it's full of stock and potential. And then, the next minute, it's just gone. A fire, a flood, something totally out of your control. And this isn't just about losing stuff. It's your livelihood, your future. It's an absolute crisis.
And that's the real question, isn't it? After the initial shock wears off and the smoke clears, what do you do? Sure, you have an insurance policy, but how do you actually turn that piece of paper into the money you desperately need to get back on your feet? Well, it turns out the process is way more complicated than you might think. So let's walk through it together.
To really get a handle on this, let's follow the story of a fictional business we'll call Sen & Co.'s Emporium. Imagine they've just suffered a massive fire that destroyed a huge chunk of their inventory. Their journey to get their insurance payout is going to be our roadmap. Okay, so the very first hurdle for Sen & Co. is filing a claim for their loss of stock. On the surface, it sounds simple, right? Just tell the insurance company what you lost. But what happens if you literally can't prove what you had? And this right here is the absolute gut punch for so many businesses. The fire didn't just burn the products on the shelves. It burned the office, the computers, the filing cabinets with all the inventory list and purchase orders. Everything's just ash. So how in the world do you calculate the value of what you lost on the day of the fire if you have zero record? Well, this is where accountants get to be a bit like financial detectives. They use this really clever tool called a memorandum trading account. You got to think of it less as a formal account and more like a worksheet, a statement they use to logically piece together the missing information and figure out a really solid estimate of the stock's value. So how does this detective work exactly? It's basically a 4-step recipe. First, you dig up the last official stock count you do have. That's your starting point. Step 2, you add in all the purchases you've made since that count. Step 3, you add an estimate of your gross profit on sales based on how your business usually performs. And finally, step 4, you subtract all the sales you made right up until the day of the fire. The number that's left over? That's your best estimate of the stock you lost.
So for our case study, Sen & Co., they run all these numbers, and the memorandum trading account shows them that on the day of the fire, they had an estimated 2,06,800 rupees worth of stock in their shop. That number becomes the foundation for their entire claim.
But, a fire doesn't always destroy everything. They managed to save some goods from the flames. So you have to subtract the value of that salvaged stock. For Sen & Co., that brings their actual loss, the amount they can claim, which is called the gross claim, down to 1,65,440 rupees. Now, you'd think that's it, right? Claim the stock and you're done. Not even close. For Sen & Co., this was only half the battle. Because here's the thing that so many business owners forget. The fire didn't just destroy the stuff they had. It destroyed their ability to earn. Their business is shut down, sales have dropped to zero, but the rent, the salaries, those bills keep coming. It's a second kind of invisible loss. So let's break this down. You've really got 2 completely different kinds of claims happening here. The loss of stock claim is all about the past, getting back the value of the physical things you used to have. But the loss of profit claim, that's all about surviving the future. It's about replacing the income you're not making while your doors are closed. And to cover that, you need a very specific type of insurance, a consequential loss policy. It's literally designed to keep your business financially stable during what they call the indemnity period. That's just the time it takes to get back up and running. It helps cover your fixed costs, your standing charges, and the net profit you're missing out on. Okay, let's get back to Sen & Co.'s stock claim. Their actual loss is over 1,65,000. Their policy has a limit of 1,60,000. They're expecting the full 160. Seems logical, right? Well, unfortunately, there's a nasty little surprise hiding in the fine print. It all comes down to a core idea in insurance: risk is meant to be shared. This quote here really gets to the heart of it. Insurance companies build in these clauses to make sure business owners are insuring their property for what it's actually worth. It's their way of stopping people from paying a small premium on a policy that doesn't truly cover their risk. And the way they enforce this is with something called the average clause. Now, listen closely, because this is where so many people get tripped up. It basically says that if your insurance policy is for less than the total value of your stock, you're considered underinsured.
And if that happens, the insurance company will only pay a percentage of your loss based on how much you are underinsured. You essentially become a co-insurer for the part you didn't cover.
And guess what? This is exactly the trap Sen & Co fell into. Remember that number from the detective work? Their stock was actually worth almost 2,07,000 rupees, but their policy was only for 1,60,000. Because the policy was worth less than the stock, boom, the average clause gets triggered. They were officially underinsured.
So take a look at this. This is what Sen & Co thought was going to happen. Their loss was over 165. Their policy limit was 160. Logically, you'd expect to get the full 1,60,000 from your policy, right? I mean, that's what you paid for, that's the common assumption.
But then the average clause kicks in. And here's the brutal reality. Their payout gets slashed proportionally. The formula is basically your loss times your policy value divided by the actual stock value. And look at that gap it creates. It's a huge difference. The final check that lands in their hands, it's for just 1,28,000 rupees. That's a full 32,000 rupees less than their policy limit and over 37,000 less than their actual loss. For a small business trying to rebuild from nothing, that shortfall is absolutely devastating.
Wow. The story of Sen & Co is a tough one for sure, but it is packed with incredibly valuable lessons. So let's distill this all down. What are the key takeaways from their experience that can help every business owner out there avoid these same exact pitfalls?
First, and this is non-negotiable, keep secure off-site backups of everything. Cloud storage is your best friend. Second, and this is so critical, you have to review your insurance policy value on a regular basis. As your business grows and you buy more stock, your coverage has to grow with it. Third, you've just got to read the fine print and understand the terms, especially that average clause. And finally, don't just insure your stuff, insure your ability to do business. Look into a consequential loss policy. Which really brings us to the one final question you should be asking yourself tonight. You're probably paying those insurance premiums every month, thinking you're covered. But if disaster struck tomorrow, is your business really protected? It's a question worth having an answer to long before you ever need one.